All right. So actually, I will start with like just a brief overview of the book and not give too much away. So I have something written. Oh, yeah, I do have a whole spiel. All right, so this book club is offered as part of Aafiyah Women's Collective, my oneness-based work rooted in the belief that healing also happens in community through story, reflection, and shared experiences. I want to name how to hold space. This is a trauma-aware but not trauma-centered space. We acknowledge hard things without asking anyone to relieve or perform pain. This is a space for reflection. It's not academic or and it's life integrated, not just literary. So we're here to notice what the stories that we read about, what they're steering us, and how they inform how we live and care for ourselves. So, most importantly, this is a space for women at different places in their healing journey. I believe like just about every woman is on a path to healing. Um, and you're welcome to share, listen, or simply be present at all times. All of this is completely fine. The theme for the book club itself, just generally speaking, is health, healing, Black joy, and living well. So I love books that really touches on not just our pain as Black people, but also the joyful parts of it. So you'll see a lot of that in the books that we select. Let me see. I think I do have a quick overview of today's book. I can't find it. We'll just go ahead and jump into it then. But no, I do have it. I wrote it somewhere. You have too many. I'm overly organized, so much so that I lose things sometimes.
You gotta simplify. I simplified. I have paper this
No.
time, so I can write.
Oh,
But
great. Okay. Um, I, wait, no, one more place I'm gonna look, and then if not, I'll just give up. Just will be there because I have like my different pieces of my life all over. So
it's all
this
right.
is trying
What
to
I'm noticing
manage it.
about you is that you have a knack for finding women empowerment books. And this book
Yes.
is a really nice turn into women empowerment. And like it was good from the beginning, but like you could just see the different struggles and different dynamics of different women's fights. And this one,
Yes.
even though about the same, but this one was like a cliffhanger throughout the entire book to me.
Yes. And okay, so let's just jump into it because I can't find it. But the book we're discussing today is even that I can't find. Oh my goodness. That should be easy enough for me to find. Hang on. A Night Bloom. Night Bloom by Peace Adzo Media. I hope Medie. Night Bloom by Peace Adzo Medie. Oh, Medie. I hope I'm not saying that, butchering that too terribly. But yes, it's a book that's set in Ghana, primarily, and also in the US, East Coast and Maryland in particular, interestingly, right? So you mentioned something, Allison,
Yeah.
earlier that I have a knack for picking women empowerment books. And it's probably because that's, I feel like that's something I need the most in my life. So I tend to gravitate towards
Yeah.
that woman empowerment and also Black joy. Yes, I want to hear about the hardships that we go through and learn about how we traverse those paths, but I don't want to be stuck in it. I want to be able to move on from it and learn something from it. So yes, what are some of your initial thoughts? You said you read this twice. Go ahead, girl.
I did.
Okay.
So my initial thoughts were everything reversed by the end. I do want to point that out. And then
Yeah.
I thought that, um, oh my gosh, Akofa's mother was stuck in a rut from the beginning, but it turns out she was kind of the villain. And I
Yes.
wasn't ready for that. But what I will say is like Selassie's struggle became her strength. And Akofa kind of struggled with struggling, but she still came out strong. And so I
Yeah.
think the entire book was just like it was a really nice roller coaster of emotions and experiences. Some of them can be relatable, and then
Mm.
some of them weren't, and it I could still feel the emotion. So this is a really
Yeah.
good book, and I think that piece Adzo Medie did a really good
Hmm.
job.
Yeah.
What about
I
you?
yeah, I agree. I agree. I love you said cliffhanger, but I love the fact that I didn't like it when I was going through it, but I liked it afterwards. The fact that the author kept us on one person's view for so long. And I thought that was the correct view, like some perspective, I mean. We were seeing things from the perspective of
Yeah,
Akorfa and her family. For the longest time, I didn't even know there was going to be a change. And then when the change came, when we started seeing, hearing from me, because I did audiobooks, hearing or reading Selassie's side point of view, I was like, oh, it caught me unaware. But it also helped me
yeah,
learn to give grace to people and their stories because you don't know what's going on the other side, and that took me by surprise. So kudos to her for doing that. She did it so well. I don't know, maybe because I don't have a physical book, so I'm not scrolling through, flipping through. Yeah.
I did. I
You did
did.
flip?
Yeah, and I think I did a couple times. I was like, okay, because chapter 16 was it was super long, and I
Mm,
was trying to figure out like I was trying to parse it out. So it was 14 that was super long, or either way, one of them was super 14. And I was trying to time out my reading, but Selassie's story came full circle during her
yeah.
chapter, and I felt bad for kind of judging her in the beginning.
Me too.
But
I felt really, really badly. I was like, oh, again, it's the because we were seeing just one viewpoint. And I really believed I was sold on that viewpoint for a long time until her point of view came up. And I was like, oh, wow, things are not always black and white. Um, right. So really quickly, where did you feel recognition? For me, I always try to reflect on what I see in myself, how the book kind of relates to my life. No, no surprise there. So where did you feel recognition, ease, or curiosity in the stories of the student ladies?
um, I'm gonna say I can kind of relate to both of them, but Selassie's story and her struggle was more about like the my temperature, only
Mm,
because like in the professional world, people judge me very harshly before they actually get to know me. And same thing with people like everyday people I deal with. And so seeing like her strength in her becoming a protector to protect people from what she went through.
yeah.
Um, yeah, because I become a martyr in the workplace and I've
Yeah.
gotten in situations over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did relate more with her, but not everything.
Okay. I
What
saw
about you?
a lot of what I don't want to say what I've gone through, but what I've observed in my life in Akofa's story, where there's this, sort of matriarch or woman in the family that spins the narrative of the family and runs things. And everyone seems to believe them. And I felt for that again in this book. The story, Akofa's mother, her story becomes the one that people believe, people, and people empathize with her, not really take a step back to question what is it about you? You're like the common denominator with all these issues that's going on, right? What is it about you that's making
Yeah,
this come to you all the time? Everyone cannot be wrong all the time. And that's something I try to do in my life. Like when I see that, okay, I'm having a problem with this person, I'm having a problem with this person, I take a step, I try to anyway, take a step back, like, wait a minute, is it me? Am I the problem? But it's certainly something I want
definitely
to
a
see.
problem.
Yeah, I want to say, I want to say, in a lot of African households, I don't see enough of that. Stepping back, and saying, what is it that I'm bringing into the fold? What is it I'm bringing into the, relationship to the family that's causing all this problems that keeps following me? Because it's never really always just everyone hates you. You got to contribute something to it as well. So that's the part that I see of myself in that. Yeah. So
Yes. And sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, in terms of the characters, what do the characters teach us about growth and timing? Because I feel like there was a lot of growth in here, and also just timing when certain things kind of like connect and make sense. Um, for me, I know that, as kids, when they started out as kids, they were so carefree. Even when their parents inserted themselves in their relationship, Akofa and Selassie, it wasn't something that they were really phased by because they were so innocent and kids, they just want to be friends and be together. And of course, as they get older, the overbearing mothers attention to her child takes over. And you see that in Akofa's way of relating to Selassie. And also just timing, the separation, Akofa coming to America and her going through her own experiences. And I'm so grateful she went through those experiences. I mean, they were not all great, but I feel like it helped her grow in her own way. So yeah, I feel like that
Yes.
they taught us, well, for me, I learned that time matters, the phase or the season in your life. Because as kids, they went through a certain kind of experience. As adults, and then as grown women, now, traversing the world on their own and trying to make sense. And even going back, there's a Sankofa adage, I don't know, but, just looking back to kind of like see where you're coming from. I feel like Ankofa did that. I'm so glad, happy for her for doing that, like kind of looking back to try to correct things or even understand things. So yeah, I learned just the importance of doing that from Akofa. How about you?
Yes. And I think that Kofor was able to grow more once she left the house. But I think that she got that good foundation. So when she went to America, people usually go to college and wow out, right? Make some bad decisions. And I'm glad that she didn't. Even though book was written, I'm glad that she didn't end up wilding out and she was able to handle certain situations a lot better than normally because
Yeah.
starting with the situation with Lisa in the dorm room. I
Oh,
mean, that was
yes, that
completely
was.
outside of anything that she had ever
She was not
experienced.
ready for that. She was so stunned.
She was not. And
That
I
was her
am so
welcome to.
glad
I was,
that,
I was sorry. I was going to say that was her welcome to America as a Black woman kind of experience.
yes, and I felt like she had the most struggles in America. And and then coming full circle to Selassie having very similar struggles, but she had way more of them from early on. I think
Mhm.
Akofa being sheltered from the beginning shaped the way that she approached it. And then you could see that Selassie reacted to those like similar situations out of very much hurt.
Mhm.
And it actually made her stronger in those situations because she didn't have anyone fighting for her. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, she was alone for the longest time. Yeah. Oh gosh, no mother, then the
Yes.
father abandoned her. That's a lot. That is a lot. So
And
you
I do
mentioned,
want to ask a question.
go ahead, go ahead. No, no, go ahead. I
No,
was
go
gonna
ahead, go
say
ahead.
that's what. No, I was gonna shift the conversation. So let me hear what you have to say.
Oh, well, since you talked about Selassie's parents passing away, one question that I did come up with was which family do you think had a better or worse um, impression on the way that she turned out? Because you had
Mm.
Yao's family, and then you also had Lucy's family, and then you had her family.
I think they had different effects. Because they were also more they also wielded more power depending on the phase in life she was in, right? Lucy's family in the beginning was good for her, I think. Well, we realized later on that Lucy had her own issues, but they took her in and kind of like encouraged. I feel like Lucy helped her parents move towards like taking her education more seriously. So it was more of a positive effect when she was younger. But of course, things changed when she was older in terms of how she was treated
Yes.
by Lucy's family. Um, Her family, Celasti's family on the father's side, I was it was good to hear that her grandmother actually was a positive uh character in her life. I don't know why I thought maybe I was
It was.
believing what's Lucy's recounting of all these things, her part of the story. So I already had it in my mind, like, oh my gosh, this girl is not being treated well. But I think when I would finally hear Celeste's side of the story, I was like, her grandmother cared for her. Like she comes from a loving family. I mean, every family got issues, but wow,
Yeah.
she was cared for. She was loved. So I can imagine a confusion for Selassie when she leaves when she's a little older, she leaves her family from her father's side and goes to the city to Lucy and Akofa while when she's now in like secondary school. And someone who's experienced so much love now being kind of like treated a certain kind of way. I can imagine the confusion in her. So I see why she was defensive, with her reactions, so to speak. Yeah, how about you? What do you think about that?
No, no, I feel the same way. I think that Lucy's family gave her foundation, but I think the life tools that you don't get when you're sheltered is what she got from her dad's side of the family. Her grandmother was painted as a villain, and I will say a straight
Yeah.
villain. But I'm glad that her grandma would not let her go live with Lucy's family after her father passed away, because I think her grandma gave her the love and, like she said, it's her, it was she her grandmother was her person,
Yeah.
and that was the most stable person that she had in her life. And I think that things would have been a lot different, and they would have uh, came out a lot sooner if she would have been living in Lucy's house.
Yep. I
But
agree. I agree.
so I did like.
Mhm. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, I'm going to kind of divert this conversation just a tad bit. You mentioned earlier
Sure.
Alkofa's relationship with her dorm roommate and how, yes, she was sheltered in Ghana, came to America. She had all the tools she needed to succeed academically anyway, right? But she wasn't prepared for, the racial issues that Black people deal with. Um, but she was still able to succeed academically. And I think a lot of times it reminds me of the immigrant, what is it, the model immigrant myth that we keep telling ourselves in America. And I have to remind folks that it depends on what immigrant you're looking at and how they came to America, because America has a way of going to other countries and bringing along immigrants who are the best of their communities, of their countries. It's the brain drain. So what we see here when we talk about like, oh my goodness, all these immigrants are successful. Well, guess what? They were going to be successful in their countries um, if they had stayed there and the country was in good shape, typically, right? So we're not seeing the full-blown representation of every Ghanaian of a society, every Nigerian of a society, every Caribbean, every group of whatever immigrant population you're talking about. We tend to see those successful ones, and people want to base everything on that group because she's a different class of a Ghanaian herself, right? Before coming to
Yes.
America. So you know, it just popped in my head and I was like, wow, that's I feel like that's a blind spot that America continues to have about immigrants and the stories and lies we tell ourselves, making it seem like, yeah, just why can't you be like so and so immigrant population?
Uh, I think that's a really good point. I really do, because not only did she come over here, but she came over here with money. So it's not like the American cliche immigrant that comes over here and feeds off the system. She was able to say, "Oh, I'm paying for school. My parents are paying for my school." She's
Right.
raising her hand in class, and people are probably looking at her like, well, why can't she just speak full English with a American accent and she's getting all of the questions right? And I think that's where people judge immigrants for the
Yeah.
most part. But like Americans, I will say, and I have to bash my people a little bit, but we come up in grade school and we're not learning the metric system and our teachers aren't going the extra mile. If we're not doing our homework, we fall behind. But I think especially like what I've noticed about my African friends is they don't have the choice to slack off. And I think that paid off in what is this girl's name?
Akofa.
A conference. Yes, in her, I think that played well in her favor.
Yeah. But you have to also remember, Allison, in those countries, you do have kids who are falling behind.
Oh yeah,
Selassie is one of
absolutely.
those kids. They just don't tend to be the ones that migrate to America. Not
Some
all the
of them
time.
do.
Some of
I
them
grew up with
do. No, some of them do. But, you know, also you have to look at migration patterns. That's what I was trying to get at.
yes.
Migration patterns when people come. In the 60s and the 70s, when Africans were leaving their countries and coming to America or the UK to seek asylum, they were leaving because they were the ones, the brightest and the best of their communities fighting for independence, right? So America, these countries are getting the best, the cream, the la cream of the countries. You get what I'm saying? Or I'll
I,
give an example
yeah.
of, yeah, I'll give an example of my father. My dad came in the 90s. This is when America was short on healthcare providers, physical therapists. They went to the countries to recruit them. It was a whole bunch of them that they pulled out of drained the talent from major hospitals and brought them here. First thing these Africans got was they got their apartment, they got a car, a company car. They never went through the struggles of what it takes. So even for some of those Africans, it took them a while to really understand the Black experience. It took it because I remember growing up, and being privy to conversations about like Africans not understanding why African Americans can't just make it. You have all the opportunities, but they're not really doing the proper
Uh,
calculations of you came here with 10 legs up to begin with. A lot of them,
I
those
didn't
who
know
were,
that. I did not.
yeah, I have to keep reminding folks. A lot of them came here, was able to buy a house within the first 2, 3 years and move around. And they were guaranteed like green cards, path to citizenship, right? So what excuse would
Oh,
people like that have compared to folks who are have been feeling the brunt of American racial system forever? It's different. I keep trying
I
to remind
understand that.
folks. You do get some Selassies who migrate to America, but I think America has gotten a lot of Akofas for a long time and have gotten very used to seeing that as the narrative of Africans.
Africans, maybe, yes. But like I grew up with a lot of Hispanic immigrants and we got a lot of Selassies, a lot of them.
But their
And
their
not
migration
knocking it.
pattern is different, though. Their migration pattern is
You're
different. How did they get here?
you're
A lot of them came here, jumped the borders and stuff. They were not going. No, who was going there to recruit the best of the best? You
they
see
don't
the
have to
difference I'm
recruit.
trying to make?
Yeah, no, no, no. I'm just saying immigration in total. I completely get it, and now I'm understanding your
Yeah,
point of view. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I've seen both. I've seen both for
yeah.
sure.
So I really try to like put things in context and understand that, um, yes, this interesting people that you see in America also exist in our countries too. They just don't always make it through
Yeah,
in the immigration process. But yeah, that was just a side note. It's when I finally started understanding this, I was like, oh, it makes sense. Like you would if I was in Nigeria, I think yes, I probably will still be sheltered under that, the upper middle class group of class of folks. Um, but my trajectory will still be different because our parents, valued education and they were able to afford to send us to the proper schools and all that stuff. But yeah, that was just a side note. The immigrant is
Thank
the,
you
the
for
immigrant.
educating me because
No,
I did
no
not
worries.
know.
The immigrant story is really interesting at the end of the day. It's yeah, it's never
It
black and white.
is.
Okay. So what reminds us of what reminds you that women's lives are more than endurance in this book?
Can you ask that question a different way?
So when you hear about black stories, I tend to hear a lot about, the strong black woman enduring all this, enduring that, and never really fighting back or challenging norms. How do the women, especially these two women, how do they kind of fight back and challenge the norm? And I guess I'll go first for myself. For our Kofas, for example, and especially as an African woman, I can speak more generally as an African woman, since that's kind of like what I see, how I see us, how I relate to her. The idea that you don't challenge your elders, you know, I was expecting her to, in a way, a part of me was expecting her to kind of like still be on her mother's side, even after she found out all this crazy stuff, right? But I was so excited for her to challenge her mother. We don't do that enough in those cultures, you know. Even for and then I know that for me, my own personal journey, when I started challenging my elders in my community, right? It was a scary thing for me because it was like, how dare you? Oh, my headphone's about to die. How dare you challenge what we do or what we say? So that was interesting for me. I loved seeing that she was not just enduring all this and that was the end of it. She was really challenging her mother in so many ways. She freaking burned out the dang old house. That part.
Okay, yes, I wanted to start out with that because, but yeah, no, I think that between her trying to expose Michael when
Mhm.
she was raped, um, and then when at the end about her mother, not telling the truth, basically,
Mhm.
Selassie going at her father. I think those ones kind of, but okay, so I'm getting what your question now.
Yeah.
Um, the endurance. I think that when they entered, both of them entered their soft girl eras with their husbands. And then I think that it gave them the opportunity to kind of lay back, but they automatically went through something and were caught off guard by it, both of them.
Yeah.
Um, and just challenge, like a Akofa didn't challenge the norm when she was passed over for the directorship, but Selassie wasted no time going after the minister, and she went super hard. And I think that no one was expecting her to talk to the minister that way or go after him on TV. And I mean, in a way, it wasn't spiteful or vindictive. And I think that's a really good way for Black women to get it out. I can't really relate on the African part because I'm not African. But what I do want to ask you is like, is that something normal that would happen? What Selassie did to the minister, is that something normal
No,
that would happen in Africa?
I think no, what people would have expected for her was to take it and just go with it and not challenge the minister. So that was out of character, generally speaking. So she was like,
Yeah.
I was cheering her on, like, oh my gosh, go ahead. But I also think I see it as Selassie is a product of the school of the hard knocks. She went through a life and she went through life early. So she was like not waiting for propriety in things. She was going to just like, I don't got myself to this point in my life. You're not about to steal my joy. That's how I feel. As opposed to Kofa still took some
Yeah.
time to think it through. Like, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to cause too much problems before she finally came to her, you know, into herself and did things to defend herself. That's how I interpret those two things. But yeah, I think generally speaking, um, in the African context, a woman would have been expected to take what the minister dished to her. That's why we got this. That's why we got this leaders, so-called leaders with all these issues. Yeah.
Yeah,
There was something I was trying to say and it just skipped my mind. But yeah, I think
sorry.
basically Selassie, no, not you. Selassie was just basically very straight with her responses. Like, this is what I know. She had to build herself up on her own. So she's used to fighting for herself and fight for her right. Um, so she wasted no time. Oh, sorry. Yes. Now this is what I was going to say. You mentioned like they were both in their soft girl era and, after being married and stuff. And that I know the book doesn't really center on marriage, but for me, it's also the importance of picking the right partner who will back you up or at least know when to step aside. Because it was Eliza's husband. He didn't really
Yes.
necessarily back her up completely, but he acknowledged that what the minister did was wrong, right? Um, and you don't
You
get that a
did.
lot. Some people get, you know, partners who would have been like, yeah, that's a minister, just whatever, ignore it. But at least he tried to support her from the beginning. So that's a huge difference. And I feel like they both made good life partner choices. Kudos to them on that.
Yes. Okay, remember when you told me I can ask you anything? So, I do have two
Good.
words. I want to know what they mean.
Oh, okay.
What does a shawo mean?
Oh, I show. And I thought it was a Yoruba word. It's like a prostitute. It's a prostitute. It's okay. So, linguist, and I don't know, I'm not a linguist, but this is kind of important to understand concepts of words too. The literal Yoruba translation of that would be someone who changes money. Ashewo, shewo, someone who changes money. Like, you got $100 and they help you change it to like smaller divisions. And I think it's stuck to be something that they describe prostitutes with. I don't know why, but I just think it's important to kind of understand that context. And it's clearly made it across Western Africa, where even people from Togo and people from Ghana are using the word as well. So yeah, that's what Ashawo means.
And quasia is the same thing?
And what?
Quasia?
I don't know what that is. Let's see. I don't know what that one is. Spell it.
I want to Google it.
Spell it.
Kwasia.
That might
Did you
be
hear me?
more of a Ghanaian. Yeah, I heard. I
KWA.
heard. I heard you. That might be more of a
Okay.
Ghanaian word, like from the Ghana context. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know.
Google says it's a fool,
Of course.
so we'll go with that.
Of course.
Okay.
I love this for your
Okay.
cousin. You're, you're like learning all the terms.
I am. Use them. Okay. I know you're full of questions because you wrote them down last time.
Not too
Do you have
much
more
this time.
questions?
Not too much. But go ahead, go ahead. You have anything else? I have just a few more.
Um, I so hmm, go through your questions because I'm
Okay.
going to circle back just a little bit with mine. I don't want to ruin the
Okay.
flow.
Okay, no problem. So how do relationships impact well-being in this story? So this is me and my wellness piece. How does it? So for me, I see different types of relationships, right? I think I'm thinking of Akofa's. Oh, there was something. Let me try to think it through first. Just popped in my head. I think Akofa's description of her father, or even what the sense I got was kind of like her father was not spending enough time with her. But from Selassie's recount of it, she recounted him as someone who was present. I guess because also Selassie didn't have a father that was there for her. So the views are different. I don't even know what to make of this man. At the end, I wasn't sure. But anyway, I thought at the very least he was a provider for his a good provider for his family, even though his wife pushed him quite far to make him, send make the commitment to send Akofa to America, which is super expensive, right? And so the relationship as a kid, I feel like she had a pretty decent relationship upbringing, so to speak. But looking back as an adult, I feel like Akofa saw kind of like the holes, especially in her and her mother's relationship, like where she stopped trusting them. Let's put it that way. Because remember when she went through the phase of not talking to them anymore, so she started questioning her upbringing. Like, you guys have not been honest with me. You're not being. So the relationship changed. So that's what I'm thinking of. But go ahead.
No, 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 I'm going to agree with that because, and one thing I do want to point out is the dad, he played his role. And, but what confused me a little bit was in the household, it seemed like at the end of the day, the dad would go with whatever the mom wanted to. But from what I understand about gender roles in households, it's usually like the dad that has more of the, I know women run the house and carry the purse, right? But usually the fathers in houses, and I'm talking about from an American perspective, they make the decisions and their decision is the last decision. But what I saw in Lucy's house and Selassie's mother's house and Selassie's father's new wife's house was kind of the women ran the house and they were very vocal.
So internally, you will see that the
Is that
women run the house. No, that makes sense. Internally, though, you see women run the house. They have the say in it. Externally, though, people would not want the woman would not want to to posture herself as, I'm the one making all the money. I'm the one making all the rules. It's kind of like that sense of, I want to give the respect to my husband. So there would be kind of like you put on a show to make it seem like the man is running things. I'm just sitting here quiet. That's what I've observed anyway. Um, but yeah,
okay?
deep down you see that it's the woman.
Do and to bring that full circle because what I noticed was a Kafra at the end when the dad was playing with his grandkids. She was like, I never got that. And from what I took on from early in the book, all the dad did was work. And then the mother challenged him a lot. But all we saw him doing was saying, like, getting upset, saving Selassie, and working. And so I think that there were a lot of times because a copper didn't have to be saved from stuff, she never saw her dad really having to step up for her. And so all it seemed like he was doing was, and I'm not going to say he didn't love her because he definitely did, but the most effort he had to make was making decisions about money for Akafra when Selassie got saved very often. And oh, I'll stop there because I can't
No,
remember the word
but
there. What
but
Enos?
but but
What do you?
did you notice that Celastia's recount of that relationship was different? She saw Akofa's father as being always available and taking, and playing with her and spending time with them. So I feel like it's people's. That's why at the end I couldn't like or not like the father, because whose story do you go with? He did provide. It was clear that he did the basic stuff. Now, did he do the extra stuff? And if he did, if it's not something that Akofa valued, does it matter? Do you get what I'm saying? He may have been like there for her, but if she's
Yeah.
not valuing it, it's everyone can tell the story of how wonderful the father was to her, but if she didn't feel that way growing up, she didn't, it's not going to change how she feels. I mean, unless if she's like
Oh yeah,
completely
no, I can.
mentally deranged and she doesn't see things clearly.
Uh,
But her story is her story. Her experience is
it
her
is.
experience at the end of the day. So it was just hard for
It
me
was,
to,
yeah,
yeah. But I do definitely notice that she was, I don't want to say envious because that has a negative connotation, but she noticed the parent-child interaction of her husband's family. And I think her husband was born in America, right? So they've, and that's another thing, like immigrant families go through a change once they move, because the
yeah,
pressures for survival, the expectations, all those things shift. So they definitely go through a change um when they make that move to America. And I think Uncle Fuz's husband's family was that change that she wanted to. It's kind of like how she wanted to raise her family, um, the ideal that she saw. So I was happy for her to at least get that. But I feel like her trauma from, um, being um raped. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. Was it was holding her back from allowing her to let the kids' grandparents really be with them fully. Because I don't know if you remember reading this, that when she has like work travel, she would rather the mother-in-law come stay with them instead of saying, girl, you if anybody say they're gonna watch my kids at this point in my life, I'm shipping you over. So I guess also because
yeah.
she's still a relatively new mom, so she's feeling that way and all. But it's definitely trauma informed. Her decision to hold on tightly to them is based on the trauma that she has experienced, which is so unfortunate for her. Yeah,
I would agree. I would agree. I think trauma shaped a lot of situations in this book too.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's see. Oh, so what feels affirmed, released, or newly named for you in this book as you read through it?
You know, I think well, first of all, the good ending, it took away all of my anxiety through the book because I was like, how is this going to end? But honestly, seeing like resilience, it was it was it was refreshing because you see two different paths of life. And what got me was they were both going through the same silent struggle. And I think that's what caused a lot of the initial, like the strength of their rift. So it like when they had their moment of truth and everything came out about Michael, it kind of affirmed the fact that people have the same struggles and they handle it very differently. And I live my life like I am the only person in this world. But to like this actually gave me the opportunity to relate to people on a different path. And so I was able to kind of see one, the resilience, but the strength. And then also the happy ending about Michael made me just it warmed me inside. That was like straight justice.
I loved that.
So
Do you remember Waiting to Exhale? The movie Waiting to Exhale? That's what it reminded. I was like, oh, okay. I loved it. I
as
know.
soon as I heard kerosene, I was like, she's gonna burn this house down. Please let her burn the house down. That's Texas justice.
Oh my God. And
And she did it.
untraceable, and it's untraceable. You can't bring nothing to it. Like, what do you mean? Nothing. You got nothing on
And
her.
she
That was,
yes.
oh my gosh. For for me, what feels affirmed is the power of friendship and being able to give each other grace. Um, I love the fact that they still both loved each other because they were childhood friends and they had that base. Their base of existence was love for each other and family too. Their family. Um, and I think I'm grateful that they were able to come back to that at the end. It wasn't automatic, it wasn't immediate, but it was definitely refreshing to see that. Unfortunately, it was bonding over trauma again. It was the trauma that brought them back.
Yeah,
Just so unfortunate.
yeah,
But I think it was also the trauma that tore them apart to begin with. It was because she had experienced this Michael's craziness. She just sorry, Selassie had experienced Michael's craziness. Hofa just didn't know about it, right? And that really tore
yes.
that relationship apart early enough. Um, and oh my goodness, can we just talk about the mother? The kind of I see this is like I said, the kind of family members who keep this kinds of secrets and the people responsible for this evil continue to hurt people all over until it came to her doorstep. Even when it came to her doorstep, when this Michael did it to her daughter, she still kept a secret. I can't. Women, I can't roll with women like that. I'm sorry. And I don't know if you
I
got I don't know if you got to watch the video clip that I shared of that Dr. Rania Awad. And I know she's a Muslim psychiatrist. But when she was talking about the blameworthy silence, modesty, I think is the word she uses. That's very blameworthy because yes, you don't want to put your family's business on the streets, but when it comes to abuse, like there's certain things that have to be aligned that once you cross this line, it's over. I'm gonna put you out there, and the whole world's gonna know that this is the kind of person you are. But Lucy kept towing that line, and her family towed that line with her, and that's the scary part. That's scary for me. So yeah, Lucy,
yeah,
I, I can't hang with her.
but I do want to touch on that because I think secrets really played a horrible part in this book. And like with Lucy and her family, they were willing to keep the secret. Selassie had to keep her secret because she couldn't trust a Kafra anymore.
Hmm.
And I think that if people were a little bit more open and trusting, or people were allowed to be trusted, I do think that this book probably wouldn't have been as dramatic as it would have been, and I would have lost interest in it. But in a real life context, I think secrets really tear people apart.
Yes,
And in
it
this
does.
case, holding a secret actually built resentment.
Yeah, and even
So,
and I feel like also the type of secret because maybe I don't know, maybe it's my upbringing or maybe it's just my career path. I'm all into like mental health and stuff. There are certain things that are detrimental to people for the rest of their lives. Sexual abuse is one of them. That's like it stays with the person forever. Like there's no turning back. And the fact that people still think it's okay to keep it a secret when there's someone doing such offense in your family is mind blowing to me. Like I in this day and age especially, to the point that it happened to her daughter and she's still that scares
yeah,
me. Women like that scare me because there's no line. You don't have a line. You don't have no. I just can't do it. I can't.
yes. But can I take this a step further? Like when Lucy was judging Selassie, right? And Selassie couldn't get a break because when what was that little boy's name? We're just going to go with her boyfriend for now. But when
Okay.
he was in the house, he was pressuring Selassie to, you know, do the do. And Selassie didn't want to. What she walked in on was not what was really going on. And that caused Lucy to ultimately judge Selassie. But that came from
I think
Cynthia. I think if she would have went to,
yeah, I think it was more than Lucy. Lucy jumped to conclusion. I feel like on purpose. From after got a chance to kind of like take things in. I feel like she did that on purpose. And it really pissed me off. Yes, kids will be
It,
kids and do dumb things, but you didn't even give her a chance. I think Lucy knew she was manufacturing stuff. Also because that kind of belief helped her, is something that would help her accept the fact that, oh, Lucy's brother, Michael, oh, my brother didn't really do anything to you. You brought that on yourself. Because she needed to have a narrative that goes with things and put things together. Um, yeah, people
didn't
like
get
that are
that.
just dangerous. They dangerous. So, ooh,
They are dangerous. And okay, so on Selassie's side, what I do want to point out is like, do you think that? So I'm just going to say it. I think that she was very resilient off of the fact that she could have had really bad abandonment issues and she didn't. And I
yeah.
think that Lucy's betrayal, I'm going to call it a betrayal, that really could have done some damage to her because that was the last thing or the last person that was like the closest to her mother. And I think
Mm,
that Selassie looked up to Lucy in a way that could have been very detrimental to her mental health going forward, especially with everything happening.
yeah.
Um, so since you're in the mental health realm, and what I want to ask you is like, in African households, how are emotions, or is there some sort of emotional awareness, like where if someone goes through, like when an African child goes through something like this, is it like brushed over and you're just supposed to be strong about it, or is that there that level of security around it to resolve or maybe mm, help those emotions?
So generally speaking, unfortunately, those things get swept under the rug. The child will be blamed. What did you do wrong? What were you, how did you bring this upon yourself? Which is very unfortunate. I think maybe perhaps those who are maybe living in America and even it still happens to them here, but maybe more exposed and more aware families might want to take the time out to understand the child and see what's going on. We still see it where they protect the perpetrator. I'm not even going to gloss over that. They still protect the perpetrator, and it's still an area that I'm continuously trying to like bring awareness to. Like, we cannot keep not talking about this. Folks wonder why I didn't let my kids, they're boys, I didn't let them do sleepovers. We still hardly do sleep. My eldest did not do a sleepover until he was like 16. So he was grown as far as kids go. And I had to go meet this person. It wasn't even a sleepover. It was a Super Bowl party that was going to end really late at night. They leave. We leave. We stayed in. It was going from Upper Marlboro to their school in Herndon. We rented a hotel so I could let her go to the Super Bowl party, stay really late. I went and picked up my baby late at night. Came to the to the hotel. I'm not doing this. I'm not. And now my second child, you get more lax with things a little bit with the next child. He's done sleepovers, but the sister, she's a sister friend, like the um whose kids he sleeps over at their house. I know her. Like we're fundamentally on the same train of thought. She's actually a medical doctor. She's very much aware of mental health, health and wellness. We're like together. We're in sync. So I'm fine with that. Like, I don't play with those things. And I'm very open to with my kids about talking about their body, their it's yours. No one should ever violate this. And people for a long time, I've gotten looks from the Africans or even just immigrant people from with immigrant backgrounds, like, "Oh, you're doing too much." Oh, or even some people I told them, like, when you talk to people about sex, then you're encouraging them to have sex. I was like, somebody else gonna talk to your child about that. I want to be the one talking to my child about this. I want to control the narrative so they get the proper, correct information, not some foolishness from their friends or someone else. So yes, the sad answer to that is a lot of people are still not dealing with it. A lot of people still are in denial, and people are still suffering. I still I still come across women who share stories, grown women who share stories of these things with me, and I'm like, it's very unfortunate. Um, I'm just grateful that I was kind of in tune to this early enough in life. And it just also so happens to be the area that I studied. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna take this real seriously. My kids were, I'm not playing with this from a very young age, from the very um from the inception. I was like, we're not doing this. Even now, some Africans, especially our elders, I would say, they feel uncomfortable with the way I name things and the way I talk about things. They feel like I'm too brazen. I'm too forward to name these things. But I was like, look, I'm gonna protect myself in my own. Y'all do you, but I'm gonna do my part.
I love that. I actually love that. Let me say it's 1:05, and I know you have to
Yeah,
be somewhere.
yeah. She just
Um,
texted me and said I
so
don't have to come in until 2. She said 2, so
oh,
it's okay.
okay.
She pushed it. Let me respond.
Okay.
So yeah, no, this has been great. Oh my goodness.
It has it has been because and I still have one more question and
Yes,
you
yes,
definitely
yes.
touched on it right now. Breaking like family curses. And it's not always curse, but like breaking mindsets.
Norms. Mhm.
Like for me, norms. Thank you. You know all the words. But you touching on the fact that they think that you're a little brazen and they don't like the way that you approach things. What I've heard from my friends is that it's normal to for women to be a little bit more silent and kids growing up in African households to be very quiet and don't even make eye contact. And it just seems like um I don't think you follow all of that just based on like some of the things that you say and the way that you just said what you said. So, what did it like in this book? Do you think that there was some of that in Selassie or Akofra?
I think Selassie naturally has that I'm not moving with the grain of society in her already. And there'll be people like that, even in our countries. There are people who are just made up that way. They're going to be the ones causing trouble. They used to refer to me as Margaret Thatcher when I was younger. I'm always try. I don't know if you know Margaret Thatcher is like the I don't even know how to describe her. She used to be a PM, a prime minister for UK. So she's very like heavy-handed, like from a young age. So I think I've always had that I've had an essence of that from a young age. They already knew that I was kind of like on the other side of I'm not going to just take everything you say and go with it. So I feel like Selassie Selassie was sort of that way. Naturally, she was not going to just now whether or not she it was probably more shaped by her experience and her having to fight for her life. I didn't have to do that, alhamdulillah, thank God, necessarily to fight for my life or nothing like that. But I think she still had an essence of that in her as a person. Now, girls like that typically get that kind of attitude, that kind of outlook beaten out of us, or you just eventually you give up on that and you just become quiet and go with the grain of how things are run and stuff like that. Um, but probably because she had the traumatic upbringing, she's had to fight for her. She had to fight for herself for so long, and from a very young age, there was no beating it out of her. That was her survival skill, and it really did her good as an adult.
I would agree. I would agree. At when when Akafra got married, do you think that she broke the norm of what her mom was enduring and how her mom raised her?
She broke the norm even before her marriage. And I think that's probably why her marriage will work, because I think they're on a good path. I don't know if you sense that, but I think their marriage will work. She already challenged her relationship with her mother and her father. Remember, she wasn't talking to him. Now, I'm not necessarily advising that she cuts, anyone cuts off ties with their parents.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate the fact that she let them know where she stands. And, you know, especially after going through what she went through. And what drives me crazy is her father did not know. And that is so unfair to him. Her father never found out, right?
Yes. And when
Which,
she got reassurance later in the book, when the little birdie was at the gas station, I felt that that was a good closure to me too. But it was unfair that he didn't know because he didn't have the opportunity to protect her.
yes, yes. And I think she gets it. That's probably how she was able to rationalize things and be, because, just things like this could haunt someone forever. Like, my father didn't protect me, but I think she eventually understood that it was really her mother's doing. Um, but where was I with this? I forgot my train of thought. Just, the
You
way
said that
girls
she
are
broke the norm.
the norm. Yes. So I think she already broke the norms by calling her mother, let me just say, her mother out. And what was the beef she had with her father? I feel like it was just a spillover from her mother, unfortunately. Her mother denied her the ability to have a good relationship with her father. That is so sad.
Yes. And it did come off as a beef, but she didn't have one. Like she just kept saying, well, you're going to have to tell him. Since you won't let me voice it, you're going to have to tell him. I thought that was a really good approach to that because she was like, I'm not keeping your secrets the same way you're going to
Yeah.
keep them.
It was, I don't know. I don't know. If I had to advise someone, I would have encouraged her to tell her father her story and put it, but I'm sure, again, this is me. I'm not the one experiencing this. It's probably easier for me to say, do this, rather than for the person going through it, because it still hurts her at the end of the day, you know? Even though she says her mother has to do the telling of the stories and stuff like that, she's still the one that's suffering. She did not have good
Very
closure with
much
her
so.
father. Her father passed away, with them not getting a chance to repair anything. It was a lot. At the end, she still bore the brunt of it. What I will say is, hopefully, with her having gone through this, she would be so protective of her kids that she would not want such a thing to happen to them. And I think she's the better informed person as well, um, in terms of like not judging. Definitely not. So I don't see her as someone who keep crazy secrets, like the kind of secret that was kept, um, in that family. So I have hopes for her family, for her kids, and the life that they would have. I do worry that she has that African parent, kind of expectation, which it can serve you well to a point, but then it becomes detrimental after a while. So, and I share that because I know I'm having to balance that. I still get on my kids like, you got a 98? What happened to the rest of the 2 points? And I'm like, I need to calm down. Can't do this to the babies.
Yeah.
I mean, on the
I
one
know.
hand,
But
on the one hand, it helped me succeed and just expect better of myself. But it turned me to such a perfectionist that where it's like, okay, you know, I'm trying to get out of that rut as an adult.
it's the opposite for me because I grew up in a single family. I'm a single parent household, right? And then my
Mhm.
mom was also kind of distracted because I was her third kid and she was tired of raising kids. And
Aw.
so I didn't have that. And so it was like if I would have had like an ounce of like my mom being like, "Oh, you got a B. What is this?" I probably would have done a little bit better in school. However, I think that the way that it shaped me, it turned out pretty well. So I don't know, and it would be interesting, like if we had kids, like that part would be very interesting, like the parenting dynamics.
And I
But
think it's
we'll see.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're a third child. And again, from my experience, it's different for each child. It's different.
Yeah.
I always tell folks this story. We didn't have a TV for the kids to watch in my house until COVID. And Omar, the eldest, got a chance to be a literary child. He read, he had books this thick. He would read and get through books and stuff like that. My other two babies, Lord have mercy, they read. It's just not like Omar did. To the point where at 16, Omar's like, "You're spoiling these kids. They get a TV and an iPad." I was like, "I know, I know." At that point, I was tired of just being that mom that was so like, into every. After a while, I gave up. I'm tired. Y'all, go ahead. Eat whatever. Omar didn't even know what McDonald's was. He called that like a food house. He had an interesting way of referring to McDonald's because we didn't go to McDonald's. I'm not feeding my child none of that. This one's go to Chick-fil-A all the time. Like, it's such a difference. Such a difference. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So yes, that too. And then even for me and my siblings, I know that I was raised differently from my siblings as well. So it's going to be different for each child. But I think generally speaking, I just try to strike this kill tone balance. Like I don't want to overdo it. I still do overdo it, but I'm trying not to. I think awareness is the first step, right? I'm aware that I'm doing it and I'm trying to change it.
Yeah.
That's where I am right now. Awareness and trying to change it.
Awareness is definitely the first step. It definitely is.
Yeah. Any other
Definitely
things you'd like to discuss? This is so interesting. I love the book.
I did love the book. And I guess my last question to you is there anything that you thought was missing from the book or anything that you would have liked more of?
I would have liked to hear more of Lucy's upbringing. I wouldn't be surprised if she was abused as a child. I wouldn't be surprised.
Because you got bits and pieces of that, right? I've
Yeah,
heard bits and pieces of it.
yeah.
Okay.
And if she were to ask my opinion of like a follow-up book to this, I would say write a book where she's reflecting on Lucy's upbringing and takes us back in history. Some authors do that, like take so then things will start to make sense, like, oh, this again, not to excuse it, because when you become an adult, you really need to have your brains need to be working, your brain cells need to be working well enough for you to tell good from bad, but at least it would help me understand what shaped her. And Lucy's family, all of them except for her, stayed back in Ghana. They made an effort to. Sorry, another thing that was surprising was the fact that Lucy's family gets along with her husband's family in the village. Did you get that? Like when
I
Akofa went
did.
to visit,
And
I
I
was
was
like,
very,
sh- she made it seem like they were at like fighting at each other's throat. So Lucy got issues.
now, okay. And I was just going to say that because it was like Lucy was a little touched.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that mental health played a little bit of like a,
Yes.
li- a nice role in that.
Yes. Yes. Lucy definitely
Okay.
has some issues. I think I would have loved to understand her better. Um, but I still like how the book was put together, because if we knew all her story, we would have been giving her grace a million times and not really see through other people's pain. That's what I wouldn't want to happen. I wouldn't want us to be so clouded with feeling for Lucy and not seeing the harm that she's causing. How about
I
you?
agree with you.
What would you have liked to happen?
A few things, okay, because I was a little salty at the end. But I need to get to this chapter because I think it went from the parts of the book that's what I'm getting at. Is it went from Akafra to Selassie, and then Akafra and Selassie at the end, the third part, was like so quick. And I
Mm,
wanted more of an end. I wanted more of a resolution too. And I wanted to see how they would adapt as adults and in that that era of forgiveness between the two of them. I ain't enough of that.
But that's what authors do. That opens the book for part two, a sequel.
Well, where is part two? Where is part two, Demi? Because I'm
we, we
pissed.
should write her and let her know, like, we want a part two. Come on. No,
I
I did
know
feel that way. I
because
felt like
I mean,
it's yeah, it felt like it ended abruptly. Yeah.
yeah. But other than that, it was a great book. I mean, you have some really good taste in books. You're gonna have to
Oh,
find a
okay.
good one to
Thank
recommend.
you. Thank you. So now that you say
And this is
that, let me share the next book that I have in mind. And, Allison, feel free to suggest books as well. It doesn't have to always come
you're
from
breaking
me
up just a little
alone.
bit.
Oh, sorry. I was about to share with you the new book.
No way.
Can you hear? Are
Did
you
something die?
frozen? You're
Are you still
frozen.
there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're frozen. I'm gonna text you. Let me see. Can you hear me? You know, froze up.
Okay.
It was me. I think it was my thingamajig, my Wi-Fi thing went out.
I thought it was mine.
Oh, yours? Okay. Well, one of them did. So we're back. Okay. Really, really quickly, I was just going to share the next book, and I was going to also say, feel free to suggest a book. Right now it seems like I'm now really drawn to like this particular West African writers, but I usually have my phase where I do like a lot of African Americans and a lot of this one what's his name? Shish, this is like my anyway. But anyway, so feel free to suggest books. And actually, I think I'm going to assign you to suggest the next one. But no, I'm sorry, after this one. So the February book will be. Let me pull it up. I came across this. Um, here. The Parlor Wife by Felucio Agbaje, who is Nigerian. And from the little clips I've heard, because I'm audio, from it, it's really a historical fiction, and that's another passion I have. I don't know if you know this. I love historical fictions. Um, so it's set in, is it in the 1940s or something like that? So I'm interested to see the dynamics of what the country looked like back then. So with that comes, let me share another view of, they have two different covers in case you, oh, you should probably take note of. So this is the other cover. You see this?
Oh, I like that one better, so I hope I find that one.
Okay. So, um, so yes, I'm interested in, I can't wait to jump into this. I've only just listened to like a very brief clip about it. But yeah, so this is a February book, and you will be in charge of March.
I will have to go back to March. And that's good because you have this is a historical fiction book, and then February just happens to be Black History Month. So
Hello, yes.
great timing. You see this? This
Amazing.
is my notes. I have notes this time, like big
Ah,
notes.
I'm so
So
excited. So you got
really
something
excited.
out of this. I'm glad you got something out of this book, the reading.
I did. I did. The last one kind of made me mad. I was like, I could not live with a bunch of different sister wives.
You
I
know,
couldn't do it.
it will be
Probably.
interesting because
So
that probably took place around the 60s, I think. Did you get a sense of that? Like it was probably around the 60s, the
which one?
setting, the first one, Baba Segi's wives.
I
What
have
was the
no clue,
setting?
to be honest, because that
Maybe
I
not.
don't
I don't
know.
know.
Like that one was a
I'm gonna stop.
That
Sorry,
was
I'm
nice.
gonna
We
stop
could talk
recording.
with some people busy.
Yeah, you're